um, Hi. This is Tiffany. Um, you probably know me by my pen name, which is MJ's Love Slave. I still can't believe it's my pen name. um, well, first and foremost, what I wanted to do, I wanted to thank everyone who has been reading my um, mini series, The Lockdown, so far. It is. I just posted the third part. I think maybe 1 or 2 days ago. And I just want to thank everybody who has taken the time to go to my blog and read it. And, all the feedback has been very positive. I haven't had any negative feedback as far as I can tell. I just wanted to talk about, like, the story and where the idea came from and, um, just the thought process that kind of went behind making the story and what culminated into what is the story now. I love the Jacksons. It's not just Michael Jackson. It's not just this guy. I like his entire family. I love all of his music, all of his family's music. I grew up with the Jackson 5 and listening to Jermaine Jackson and all of his brothers. Right now I'm playing his brother Marlon's only solo album, Baby. Tonight you can listen. My favorite song, Life. But seriously, the idea for, I guess you could say, like, the first incantation of Lockdown came to me years ago. I was about maybe 17 or 18, actually. I am 26 now, so it's been a long time coming. What I wanted to do when I first got the idea, I wanted to have a story where I incorporated Michael and all 5 of his other brothers, and have it centered around a woman where they're basically grappling and fighting and trying to win the affections of this one woman. And it was vastly different than what it is now. The story now, The Lockdown, is 6 brothers in one house writing show tunes for their father, Joe Jackson, who is a Broadway play producer. He makes musicals and plays and sorts of things. And in the first incantation of the story, the lead female character, Lonnie, was actually not a personal chef as she is in the story. She was actually supposed to be the nanny to Michael Jackson's 2 oldest children, because it was supposed to be an older Michael Jackson and the Jacksons. And she was supposed to be the nanny to Prince in Paris, because Blanket had not been born yet. And, he didn't exist yet. But that story never flew, because, frankly, I didn't want anything that crazy and have Michael Jackson's children involved and running around and, in the background. And it was also the idea that you had 6 Jacksons and they're spread out all over California. And actually, in real life, Marlon Jackson does not reside in California. He resides in Atlanta, Georgia. So that's a long way to go to get a hold of somebody. So I played with the story off and on and off and on, and all sorts of incantations came. My first idea was to make the story like Thriller, Victory Tour era, like 1984. And I got to thinking about it, and they're all gorgeous there, but I was like, that's just so typical. You want to do the Jacksons, and what's typical? 1984. It's so typical. And frankly, the year 1984 has been done to death. It's been squeezed to death. We didn't squeeze all the Jerry Curl juice out of all of them already. And that's one thing about me as a writer. I do not want to be typical. I do not want to do what everybody else is doing. If I do what everybody else is doing, who the hell's going to read it? Because it's already been done. And probably better by somebody else. And I don't ever want to be like the Nicki Minaj to Lady Gaga. Never. No. So I started thinking, and in the meantime, as the years passed, I became a part of a really great Marlon Jackson fan club. Yes, I said Marlon, the one with the lips. Marlon, not Michael, Marlon. And all these great pictures of Merlin started showing up. And I was like, wow, when are these taken? And my friend who helps run the club with me, named Lulu, hey Lulu, is like, oh, those are from like the late 1980s. That's like 1990. So I was like, this is a really great era, because I started thinking about it, and I was like, I really like the way all of the Jacksons looked then, because Michael's coming out of the bad era, and he's kind of lighter skin, long hair. The look that most Michael Jackson fans associate with Michael Jackson. Not removed from Thriller, but like not at the very, very end of his life. Just the kind of where Michael was coming into his own, kind of like a hunky, like sexual sort of being. Michael Jackson hunky. um, I got to the I started looking around. I was like, okay, yeah, all of the Jacksons look really great, and that was very important to me, that I get all of them at a point in all of their lives where they all looked attractive. Because I can't write about you, if you're like fat and bald, and that's not appealing to try to write, and that's not appealing to my readers. So, the idea was born. Okay, do the lockdown. I actually got the idea for the lockdown from watching the Jacksons Dynasty thing, where they all went on lockdown and unsuccessfully tried to come up with music for an album or something that didn't flow through or whatever. And I was like, I like that, because all of them are in one place. They're all forced to be right on top of each other. And I was just like, okay, that's great. I don't want them older. I want them a bit younger, which is fine, because the youngest one, Randy, in the story is 29 years old, and the oldest one, Jackie, is actually 39. So you have gentlemen who are pretty much all in their 30s, and the girl Lonnie is 25. So I just started with the story, and the thing that was funny for me was, people who have read the story know what sort of a position Marlon Jackson is in. I don't want to call him a pimp per se, but that's kind of what he is. He has a relationship more so with the cook than his brothers do, because there's sort of that dynamic between them. It's kind of like boyfriend and girlfriend, but then it's kind of not, because she's messing around with the others too. And in a way, he's kind of encouraging it. And at first, I wanted that particular role to go to Jermaine, because it seemed kind of a fit for Jermaine, because he is kind of like the, I guess, kind of like flirty type one, because he has been married, I think, 3 or 4 times from what I've heard. And I was like, oh, this is something Jermaine should do. This is something Jermaine should do. And when I started writing the story, I hadn't really developed his character that much yet. The first installment, centers around Jermaine, but it's not exactly what